Alright, so I've been kind of cleaning up the studio slash workshop slash bedroom, and this is one of the messes that kind of needs to be cleaned up. It's kind of organized. It's got all my batteries and all my chargers for said batteries kind of in one spot. But anyway, I've just got piles of, like, these are AA and AAAs, and then the C cells, which I don't really even use for too much. This charger that I don't even use anymore. My foot in the shot. This is a very unprofessional video. But anyway, these two are the chargers that I use a lot, and this will charge the C cells, which is why I don't really need the Energizer ones anymore. And then this thing will charge the AA's and the AAA's quite nicely, and it gives you like a capacity readout and whatnot. That's the reason why I like this one. And then this one's actually like a dumb charger. It doesn't have any peak detection or anything like that. That's why I don't use that anymore. But anyway, what I want to do is print a battery organizer. I can put the chargers somewhere when I'm not using them. But a lot of dust over here too. Like, I've never even used this lead. I think this is for this charger. Yeah, charge the 18650s with 12 volt supply. But anyway, we're gonna get on to designing something for these batteries in Fusion 360. Well, 9.5 hours later. Well, 9.5 hours and over 40 meters worth of plastic later, we have this monstrosity. So yeah, did not come out very good, and the reason why is because I printed this with ABS, and apparently this is just way too big of a part for an ABS print without having some kind of enclosure around the printer to keep the plastic warm and keep it from majorly warping. This is probably a good example of what can go wrong. I think it'd be fine if it was PLA because it wouldn't warp so bad, but yeah, I expected the bottom to warp, but this over here was pretty terrible. But I think I actually have a way to fix it. But in terms of good news, the ramps in here turned out real nice. I should go grab the batteries and make sure they actually fit in here and see what we can do with that. There's some stringing in it. I apparently don't have the retraction settings just right. The bridging in here didn't do terrible. Didn't do great, but it didn't do terrible. Especially the one over here at the C, since this gap, you know, I can fit my finger in that. That's pretty terrible. So yeah. If your printer has an enclosure around it, you might be able to print this in ABS, but PLA, definitely a better option. And the reason why I did this in ABS is because I have a lot of ABS and I only have one spool of PLA and it's white. So I also have one specific use for that spool of PLA, and I'm not quite done with that project yet, so I want to save it until I'm done with that. And also the green ABS was what was on the printer, and I figured that made sense because, well, they're rechargeable batteries I didn't put in here, so it makes sense to have it green. But I'm going to go ahead and grab some batteries and throw in this, and we'll see what we get. And then I'm going to try to repair the cracks. Alright, so I brought over some batteries. Let's see if this works. And they should hopefully stay in there. Like so. Oops, I'm gonna roll off the desk though. That one doesn't fit. We might have to make some modifications to that hole. That's alright. We can do that. And these ones are gonna be fine, looks like. There's no real way to guide these in here, unfortunately. Maybe that could be added to the design, but overall not too bad. They fit anyway. Yeah, and I have to mess with the AAA one, but that's okay. We can do that. So I'm gonna get to work on attempting to also, I should make sure, yeah, we can pull those out easily enough. It's not bad anyway. It's about what I was expecting. Alright, so that was quite a bit of work, and it still looks completely terrible, to be honest, but anyway, you notice it's a slightly different colors because I actually spray painted it green to attempt to cover up some of the mess, but yeah, not very good. I even tried to smooth some of this down with a Dremel tool, and it just, yeah, it didn't work very well. It still had like pinholes that I had to go back and try to put more plastic into, and it just it didn't work too well, but anyway, that will be alright. Other than the big cracks and whatnot in it, they were all over the place, but anyway, other than those, the print quality was actually pretty okay. The C didn't turn out very good, but the AA and the AAA actually looked quite good. Lots and lots and lots of warping, lots of cracks, but I guess final test, and the paint's still kind of wet. Oh no, they're not going to fit in there very good now, are they? Oh man, that's no good. Worked fine before I started messing with this stuff, didn't it? No, well, good news is I don't use those C cells too often, so let's just jam them in here. I'm probably just scratching the paint job. Let's try AA's, and those rolled down just as good as they did before. The holes, yeah, that'll work fine actually. I was gonna say hopefully the hole's not too big to the point where you're gonna have more of them rolling out, but anyway, AA holder seems to work okay. Let's see about the AAA's. Oh yeah, that works fine. That's another double A. So this might be in order for a redesign and a oops, that one went in backwards. A bit of a redesign and kind of printing it in PLA instead of ABS. But for now, that's going to work for me. I'll just I'll take one of the C cells out and put it down here and pretend like it actually works right. There we go. It would work fine if I wouldn't have had to mess with it, because I ended up heating this whole piece of plastic up and it warped and it bent in, so that's no good. But anyhow, from the right angle, might not look too bad, but that solves my battery organization problems at the very least. It almost needs to be just a little bit taller to fit some more batteries in, but yeah, well, I probably won't end up redoing this, honestly. It's probably just going to stay like this because it's not completely terrible. I'd rather have the rough sides over here than the giant crack, and I might even go back and redo the sanding and try to get the C's to fit in there a little bit better, but overall I think it's good enough and it's going to solve my issues anyway. So also I noticed these AAA's don't really want to stay down. The AA holder actually seems to work quite nicely. And let's see, we got to test to make sure. No, next one doesn't come out, so maybe it needs a bit more of an angle to it, or maybe it's just too tight tolerances and it doesn't want to come out. Yeah, they're not really rolling around in there too freely, I'd say. Well, those are. The AA's aren't. So maybe tighter tolerances and a steeper angle for the ramp. That would help out a little bit. So I'm probably not going to end up posting this on like Thingiverse or anything like that, because it didn't turn out the greatest. Even considering the cracks have been basically fixed. But hey, it was worth a shot. This is kind of a fail, to be honest with you, just mostly because of the cracks. I mean, the battery dispenser portion doesn't really seem to work all that well either. If you just do that, the next one doesn't actually roll out. I think it would. I can see the problem actually. It's just the battery that's sitting right on top of the next one is kind of blocking the path. So what it needs is another piece of plastic in here to kind of guide. It needs like another piece that it'd have to like float in midair almost, but it'd be at an angle down like this to guide the batteries, like a ramp basically, so it'd guide it down and then it'd fall back onto that instead of just having them piled in here. But yeah, that's not too bad. Could definitely use quite a bit of work, quite a bit of refinement. So I do believe that this is the longest print that I've ever done. I think it's the longest print, well, I know it's the longest print that I've ever recorded for sure. And yeah, so I'm not too surprised this didn't turn out completely great. But yeah, just mainly because it's ABS and I'm using a printer that doesn't have any kind of enclosure to it. So it warped a lot and it just cracked apart. I think, like I said, I think PLA, that would have been the way to go. But overall, this thing failed.